Hi everyone, my name is Jillian, this is my channel, and today is just a great grand old day, and I was thinking to myself, it would be so fun if I filmed a little video. So I think I want to talk about why you can't understand everything and why that's okay. I kind of had the thought in my head about this little video idea, kind of just popped into my head one day, but the sort of catalyst for this video, I think I used that word correctly, the sort of catalyst for this entire concept or idea in my head was from this TikTok that I saw many a years ago. And maybe I'll go hunt for it or I'll put it in the comments or the description or something. But basically, this TikTok, right, was from this, I think there's a black woman who was talking about how a lot of white people, when they are faced with the realities of racism, microaggressions, macroaggressions, just anything related to race, they tend to want to relate to it or relate it to their own experiences. But, a lot of times you can't because you aren't a person of color if you're white. Obviously you're not a person of color. And I was like, damn, that's actually like a really good point. And I know this is probably like really obvious, but I hadn't really thought about that before. I guess just no one really told me like, hey, you actually don't get this, like shut up. But I actually found that like so interesting. I was like, oh my god, like I don't need to relate to everything. Like you can actually just frown on something from afar. Obviously you should do what you can to prevent that thing, but you don't have to relate to it. You can kind of just look at it from afar, see what it is, try your best to understand it, but at the end of the day, sometimes you just can't, like I said, that was kind of a new little thought for me. But I want to kind of talk about it a little bit because I just want to kind of like off the dome share my little thoughts, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. To start off, I have a couple little things that I want to bring up. By the way, this isn't like some kind of study or whatever. Like I'm just talking, okay? I'm not like a scientist or anything. I really want to be a psychologist when I grow up, but I am not that yet, okay? So this is not like some scientific thing. I'm not even like citing any sources. I'm just talking, okay? Just keep that in mind. But I want to say the main thing that I think of when I think of this whole concept of like relatability and why you don't have to relate to things all the time, I mainly think of human bonding, I'm sure this is very obvious, but obviously the main way that people bond with each other is through relatability, when someone makes a joke and someone else gets it, that's the biggest way that we all connect with one another. It shows like each other like, oh, hey, I'm human. Are you human too? And they're like, yes, I am human too. Like, wow, we're both human. And like, this is a great experience that we both share. And like, holy moly, like I get this. Like I get this too, It's just like, wow, I am sharing a human experience with someone else. And I don't know, I feel like that's a really nice sort of experience. But from that come more inappropriate ways of relating to one another. Obviously, it's not like bad. Like I think people just want to understand one another, obviously. Like when people of color talk about their experiences with, racism, someone that's not a person of color wants to kind of relate to that through their own experiences. Like I don't think that's usually ill-intended, but obviously it's not the best. And if you don't understand why, what I mean is like, some people just don't get it. And it can be a little bit upsetting when people say they understand or try to understand when they just don't. I see this a lot as someone who is in mental health treatment, who has been in mental health treatment for a very long time. A lot of people, like for example my mom, which is like, this is no shade to my mom, I love my mom, but she oftentimes will try to relate to some of my experiences, or like for example my brother's experience. He was in the wilderness. My mom has literally never been to therapy ever. Like she's just not in the treatment realm at all. But when my brother talks about wilderness, my mom will try to kind of relate to it or understand it, and sometimes you just can't. Like the horrific experience that was specifically my brother's treatment, they went to like one of the worst wildernesses you could go to, but like that kind of a horrific experience, like some people just don't get. And the same goes for racism, like you just don't always understand, and like it's okay not to, and that's sometimes privilege, sometimes that's just a good thing. Like it's obviously not good that the other person had to experience it, but just understanding that you don't get it and maybe trying to be grateful for that fact, because you don't understand what it's like to have to go to wilderness, for example. Like that's good. You don't have to experience that trauma, and obviously you should try to be kind to people that have experienced that trauma, and you should try to be empathetic and be understanding to an extent, but like you just don't really get it sometimes, and like that's okay. I know I'm kind of using treatment and racism as the biggest two examples because those are the first that come to mind, but when I was writing, I do a little like outline for some of the video topics I'm gonna make. One of the things I said was art, because I actually think it's a really interesting perspective to this whole concept if you don't always understand. I would like to hear you guys' comments or like thoughts on this entire video idea, like just everything I'm saying, but specifically on art, because I'm a really big artist, but I actually am not super educated in like art history, so maybe that's something I'll work on. But like what I mean, kind of explaining to you my thoughts on art, like sometimes the whole point of like a painting or something is that you don't understand it. Like sometimes the art of art is the inability to relate to it, the inability to understand where it's coming from. I kind of think of like surrealism or sometimes like postmodern or modern art. I could be wrong about that, but that's kind of what comes to mind, like the painting with the melting clock. You know, you just don't really get it. Like that kind of stuff is very disconnected from reality, and that's sometimes the whole point of it, is that you just can't understand it. It doesn't have relatability, it doesn't have a human sort of sense to it. And obviously it's kind of different from treatment and racism because those are more human things, but I do think art is kind of a similar idea, if that makes sense. I don't know, I might be totally like confusing everyone, I don't know. But I don't know, I just kind of thought this was an interesting topic because I definitely do feel like I've had to learn slowly but surely, like you don't always get it, and that's okay. Because I mean, that's my way of like showing people that I understand, or showing people that I'm here for them, showing people that I have an understanding of where they're coming from, like they're not alone, is through relating it to my own experiences. But sometimes you just can't, and you just gotta like respect that you can't and give them that support without that ability to relate. And obviously it sucks. It's so like, I mean, okay, like I don't know if I'm saying this right, like it sucks to have that disconnect from another person's experience because you just don't get it, you know, and it can be harder to give someone support if you don't understand where they're coming from. I'm thinking about this specifically from like a mental health standpoint, by the way. But you know, I think sometimes, like, okay, for example, my friend, one of my best friends, just went through a really traumatic experience, and I have other friends that have been through a similar traumatic experience, but I've never experienced that. Like, obviously, I really feel this, like, sense of empathy and sadness for her because holy shit, that's terrible. Like, oh my god. But at the same time, I need to understand, like, I haven't experienced that. I don't know what it's like, and I have to support her without understanding how it feels, like, without that relatability. And like I said, it sucks because sometimes it's really hard to give someone support or understand how to give them support if you just have not experienced it. But I mean, that's just kind of how it has to be, you know, like you don't get it, you know, and that's good usually. Like, I don't know, just understand that you have that privilege to not relate, you know. You can have that gratefulness but also that empathy and sympathy for that person, and understand that like you can support someone from afar, you can be human without that relatability. I don't know if this all makes sense. Please let me know if you have anything you want to say, if you have any critiques. I am very open to criticism. I really do appreciate it when people tell me what they disagree with in like a obviously constructive way. Don't like go send a hate comment, you know. But yeah, I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. Like I said, I'm totally open to criticism. If someone, you know, has something I want to like correct about it, if you have a different perspective than mine, I'd love to hear it because it's always interesting. I love learning, like truly I do. So thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.
Okay, so if you can introduce yourself.
Bitch, please. Y'all know who the fuck I am.